Section 3.1, question number 9. Okay, now this says the question has several parts, and I have to complete them sequentially. Well, this one doesn't. Makes me wonder, because there's only one part down here, but I selected a homework problem that has like a tutorial with it. So we don't need to worry about this part. It has one part, just says find the weighted average of a data set where 60 has a weight of 30, 70 has a weight of 5, and 80 has a weight of 2. We have a formula for the weighted mean. I'm still going to write it as an X bar, or I'll write it like this. Weighted average. I think that's what the book calls it. The weighted average. Okay, now the weighted average is this. It is the sum, right, a couple of sums, of the X value times the weight divided by the sum of all the weights. So the formula tells us exactly what to do here if we know how to read it. It says we're going to add up, all right? We're going to add up what? A value times the weight. All right, so I'll get one of those, I'll add it to, then another one, then another one. So it says take your X value and multiply it by the weight. Now look at our X values. I've got an X value and I have a weight. So we're going to write, first of all, this is going to be, what, 60 times 3. Makes sense? I've got the X value times the weight. And then that tells me add, right? Add what? The X value times the weight. Come over to the next one. 70 has a weight of 5. So this is going to be 70 times 5 plus, and then finally, right, X value times the weight. 80 has a weight of 2. So 80 times 2 all over, well, what is this? This is just the sum of the weights. All right, now I got 3 weights there. 3, 5, and 2. All right, so this is going to be 3 plus 5 plus 2. So I got 690 when I added up the numerator, numbers in the numerator, and the denominator is a 10. Oh, all right, so that just comes out to exactly 69. Let's go on to number 10. Number 10 is very much like number 9, so we'll do them both in this little section here. All right, so what do we got? In our biology class, our final grade is based on several things. A lab score, scores on 2 major tests, and your score on the final. Okay, now we've got 3 things. We've got lab, let me just write this down so I can remember. We got the lab score, we have tests, and then we have final exams, so let's put final. Now, what do we know here? We know that, right, there's what? 100 points available for each score. All right, so apparently each time we take an exam, a lab, or a final, we get 100 points for it. Okay, however, lab score is 15%. All right, I want to write that down. So this is 15%. What about exams? 21%. 21% for tests, and the final is 43%. And then, according to what we're told down here at the last sentence, we got a 94 on the lab, a 97 on the first major test, and 100 on the second major test, and a 69 on the final. Okay, so let's get those down. So on the lab, we got a 94. Okay, so we got a 94 on the lab. What about the tests? Looks like we had 2 tests, right? We got a 97 on the first, 100 on the second. So we got a 97 and 100, and then 69 on the final. So let's use our formula right here. Weighted average is what? The sum of the scores times the weight divided by the sum of the weights. So we are going to have, all right, let's just do each one of these. I got a score times the weight. Now if I just come up and do the first one, I got a score times the weight. It's multiplication. It doesn't matter what order we do them in, but I'll do them like this. We get a 94 times 0.15 plus Now, what do we have? That was the only lab we have. Let's go to the next. We got two of these, so it's going to be the score times the weight. So how about a 97 times 0.21 plus, then we have another exam, so we have a 100 times 0.21 plus, and then we have the final. Okay, the score is a 69 times the weight, which is 0.43. Okay, all over. Now, what do we think this better be? 0.15 plus 0.21 plus 0.43. But now these, what I have here, those add up to, right, if I just do these right here, these add up to 0.79. They should add up to 100%. What's wrong? Well, what's wrong is this. We had, let me see if I can get rid of this. Okay, we had two of these, right? We had, okay, x times the weight, x times the weight. I had two of those 21s. I only put one 21 down here. So I need another one, right? One for this one for that one. So that's where it went wrong. So 0.21 is addition. Order doesn't matter. Okay, now the bottom numbers should add up to 1, right? So if you add up the bottoms now, that should equal 1. So we just have to add up that top now, multiply and add. So my calculator is showing an 85.14. Okay, all is good, but let's try this. Let's do this. How about if we did this on our TI 84s? So first thing we want to do is clear lists. All right, so what we're going to do is clear list 1. That doesn't look like a 1. Clear list 1 and list 2. So here's what you do. Press the stat key. Press stat, and then select 1, and 1 says edit. All right, so you select number 1, and then what comes up is you have some lists come up. L1, L2, L3. There's actually 6 of them. We can only see 3. Now, you may have some numbers in here already. You want to clear those out. So here's how to do it. Get your cursor over here. Right, so get your cursor over here. Just left arrow, whatever you need to do, get it over here. Then up arrow until you get your cursor right on the L1. So the L1 is actually going to be highlighted. Right, so highlight that L1. Then press clear. Now the clear key is off to the right in the very rightmost column up near the top. Press clear, and then at the bottom, press enter. And when you do that, list 1 clears. So list 1 is now perfectly clear. No more data there. Now, right arrow over to, once you have that one done, right arrow over to list 2. Now your cursor's in list 2. So do the same thing. Get your cursor all the way up to the top, right? All the way up there. Then press, just like we did down here, press clear, and then enter. All that data in list 2 disappears. Just like this, right? It all disappears. Okay, so actually what you have now is this. You have L1, L2, and L3 doesn't matter, okay? L3 doesn't matter. Now, get your cursor back over into L1. Get your cursor back over here and put in, it doesn't matter which one you put in first. Maybe you'll put in the values first, all right? So put in your lab tests and final exam scores, right? So what you're going to put in is 94, enter, 97, enter, 100, enter, and then 69, enter. Make sure you press enter. Right arrow over to L2, right? So you go over to L2. Then you put in the percentages, all right? So now you're going to type in these percentages here, the 15, 21, and 43, all right? But you have to do them in order. So the 94 was associated with a 0.15, then the 97 with a 21, and the 100 with the 0.21, and then the 43 goes with the 69. Okay, and press enter. Make sure you press enter. Now we're ready to calculate. So press the stat key, right arrow over to calculate. When you press the stat key, you get 3 menu items. You get edit, stat, and test. So press stat, over to calc. Now the first thing that comes up is number 1, which is one variable statistics. Right, we're dealing with only one variable here, test scores. So you select number 1, just press the numerical key 1 or enter. And when you do that, all right, when you press that, then you're asked for some information. First thing up, it wants to know what list did you put your data in. All right, well, let's go with L1. All right, so you want L1. We're going to pick out these numbers here. The calculator will put those numbers in automatically for us. All right, so you need to get to L1. So how do you do this? How to get to L1 is this. You press, I'll do it down here at the very bottom. You press second, and then the numerical key 1. Right above that 1, there's an L1. All right, so press second, 1, and then what you get up here is L1, right? It puts in L1. Press enter. Then make sure your cursor is right here. All right, get your cursor there. And now you want list 2 here. We want list 2. So what are you going to do? You're going to go to second, and then the numerical key 2, because right above it is L2. All right, so you get L1 in, L2 in. You go to calculate. You press enter, and here's what comes up. X bar equals 85.14. Just what we got back over here.